Hey guys, what's going on? So it is March 15th, Wednesday, New Comic Book Day, and I have for you here my haul of 13 total with 11 different titles. So kicking it off, we have God Country. This is number 3. I was able to get both the A and B covers. I think I'm going to pick up the B cover until at least number 6, this being such a hot title right now, but yeah, so, hot for a reason, because I feel this storyline and artwork is phenomenal, man. I really am digging this storyline thus far. It has like everything I'm looking for. It has a superhero, it has a fantasy, barbarian type of feel to it at the same time. Man, this one really, really does it for me. So, finding out last issue, the sword, is really an entity and has full, sentient being and is able to communicate. Everything you see here in the navy gray is the sword talking. So, man, I thought that was a pretty neat idea. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, there's a living entity within it, but, does not communicate to any degree, such as this. So, yeah, God Country, really great, guys. I suggest go pick it up. Next up, we have Monsters Unleashed. So this number 5 is closing out this main event. It's been pretty good so far. I'd say more action than story, and I guess everyone has their own opinion about that. I was able to pick up the cover A, which I'm going to read through, and I picked up the store incentive with the video game incentive here. I was able to find at one of the 2 LCS I typically go to. So yeah, so again, this is more action than storyline in my opinion. But the action was there, for me. I was able to see all the big heroes out there were involved. I didn't get into too many crossovers. I think I read 2 crossovers. One was okay, the other was not. Champions, I didn't really like that crossover. So, so this is going to enter into a ongoing series, and I believe the ongoing series is also called Monsters Unleashed. I think at first I thought it was Monsters only, but anyways, I'm curious to know where these beings were coming from. I think in like issue number 3, I think they showed, I guess they're coming in from outer space. It didn't materialize, on the spot. So I'm still curious to see, this main character, when she draws it, where do they come from? How do they materialize? I'm interested in knowing that. I'm not really interested in the ongoing series, to tell you the truth. The monster genre just, just doesn't do it for me. So anyways, curious to see how they wrap up the main event. I will not continue on with the ongoing series. Okay, so next up we have Killer Be Killed. I fell in love with this one. I read the Volume 1 trade, and then I switched over to the monthly issues due to the store owner recommending this for me, and man, he was spot on. I loved this. This has been great so far. The storyline, the past 2 issues, have really started to expand a little bit more. You have a little bit more background as far as his family involved, and this demonic or the supernatural that's involved here with him now, to where he really thought it was just due to him surviving his suicide is why the demon showed up. But you find out a couple issues back, this has kind of been in his family for a little bit. And so in addition to the family history, you also have the new detective who's on this guy, so she knows it's the same, person doing it. In the public eye, he has now become a vigilante. So, man, this storyline is really, really getting really good. So, the Volume 1 came out not too long ago. I highly suggest to pick this one up. I passed it up at first because I thought it was, mobster gang related is what I thought. I don't know why I thought that, so I passed it up, but man, so glad I got back into it. Okay. So next up we have Justice League, and I am allowing just one more story arc, this timeless story arc, to wrap up. I can't recall, I think this is number 3. Yeah, so I'm not really sure if this is part 3 of 3 or part 3 of 4, but regardless of what that number is, I'm going to allow one more story arc to see if I'm going to continue on with this Justice League or not. I have not been a fan of Justice League thus far. It's been lackluster, at best. So yeah, so interested in seeing how they tie this one up to see if it perks my interest to continue on with my Justice League subscription or not. So yeah, only time will tell, man. I'm rooting for him. Okay, next up we have Jeff Steinberg. Man, this was a sleeper for me. You know, I passed it up. I think I started at number 3, and when I bought number 3, I think I thumbed through it. I don't know what perked my interest, but I went back, and you know, number 1 and 2 were still, you know, really still on the shelf. This was not a big seller, so you can still find one on in this series here. What is this, number 6? So yeah, so Jeff, you know, this is really sci-fi comedy and hilarious in my opinion. Jeff is kind of like a, you know, kind of like a loser. He's kind of like a nobody. You know, doesn't really stand up for himself, and somehow he becomes selected as a champion of Earth when these aliens come to invade. Got to a point to where if, you know, he has to battle in this mech suit arena. If he wins, Earth is safe. If he loses, the aliens invade, and life as humans know it is completely over. So yeah, this has been a hilarious read so far. I would suggest to pick this up if you like sci-fi comedy. Man, this is your title. Okay, so next up we have Ether by Matt Kent. This has been awesome. Really enjoyed this one so far, and I thought this was just like a one-off miniseries, and I know that number 5 closed up the miniseries, but I guess I found out it's going to be an ongoing series, which I guess I never knew. Either I was just unaware of that, or this was so popular they decided to you know, maintain it as an ongoing series. So yeah, you know, I really enjoy this. You know, it has you know, action, adventure, comedy, has magic involved. You know, a little bit of everything. You know, the artwork was there for me, you know, about a 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, Ether, this one's wrapping up. I guess the trade's going to be coming out pretty quick, but if you passed it up originally, you know, I suggest this for a different storyline if you're looking for that. Okay, so we have another one-shot of the Stalinverse Divinity 3 series that's going on right now. This is Escape from Gulag 396. So this is a one-shot about Archer and Armstrong. And to tell you the truth, I have no clue about Archer and Armstrong whatsoever. I picked up the current series, Volume 1, which I have not read through yet, and I really have no clue about, you know, their previous Valiant Johnson, the first 2. I think they're on Volume 3 now, of Archer and Armstrong, so, you know, again, I know nothing about them, but, you know, this Stalinverse, I think I've said this in previous videos, it kind of doesn't reboot, it's just like an alternate reality that's a current reality based on Divinity, who has, you know, mind-altering powers. A little bit of a twist there. It's not really Divinity that you find out here in this last issue, I think. Anyways, so the ongoing series is great. Here it is here. But yeah, looking forward to reading through. All the one-shots have been pretty good so far, except for Eric. I wasn't really too, you know, it was average read for me. Okay, next up we have Death Be Damned. So this is yet another miniseries. You know, this is just of 4. So number 1 was a great read for me. I thought the artwork really fit the storyline, which is this woman here and her family. They were just kind of slaughtered by this group of guys. I forgot if they robbed them. I believe they were robbers, or there's something with their land or something of that nature. Anyway, so she gets killed, her family gets killed. You have this Indian, I guess he has like shaman power abilities. He actually brought her back to life. And at this point in time, I think you'll find out she has, you know, she can't die. You know, she's like Solomon Grundy, I guess, would be a good comparison. And her, you know, her body and spirit cannot go to rest until she gets vengeance upon the group of guys who killed her and her family. So this has been a pretty good read so far, and you know, really looking forward to see where the storyline goes from here. But you know, I saw this in previews, it really perked my interest, and you know, number 1 really lived up to it. So yeah, if you've been passing up this Death Be Damned, I would suggest to go get it. Number 1 still on the shelf. Okay, next up we have Skoocums. I think this is number 3 by Eric Powell. So this one's really geared more, you know, for kids, but you know, I really thought this was pretty funny. Had some funny short stories in here. This is really similar to Tales from the Crypt comics, and you know, I used to collect those. I read through that. You know, of course, I saw the HBO show when it came out. So this is kind of nostalgic for me, but hitting that nostalgic note, it's still pretty funny. Some pretty good funny storylines in here. So anyways, if you're looking for something a little bit different, you know, a little bit of horror with comedy, here it is. Alright, so next up we have Trinity, and they're in their second story arc at this point in time. The first story arc that involved Poison Ivy and a couple others, it was there for me. A couple of things didn't, make sense, a couple of loopholes, which I guess a lot of these storylines have now, but, the Holy Trinity here, the Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, man, that's really Justice League to me. And since the main Justice League storyline was, just really flat, this really picked up the pace a little bit. It really picked up the slack for, for my perception where these great superheroes should be. So anyways, first story arc was pretty good. Second story arc seems to be pretty decent so far. So yeah, looking forward to reading through this one, and I wish Justice League was as good as Trinity. Alright, for the final comic for this week, we have Supersons, starting with that, the short Batman, I'm sorry, the Superman 10 through 12, I think. Great story arc there where they first met. The Supersons #1 I thought was excellent, really hit what I thought it would be. So yeah, kind of reading through this, I'm hoping that this one really progresses on. I want to see a little bit more character development. I really enjoy seeing Damian progress, as a person in Champions. Even though Champions only at number 5 or 6-ish. You really start seeing that change in Damian so far. So I'm hoping you see, the dynamic here and have the dynamics evolve over time. I'm hoping it's not like some stagnant, like Simpsons, where it's kind of like the same, dynamics, all the way through. So I'm hoping that they, kind of age, progress, and kind of, learn from each other. I hope that they have failure or, challenges along the way that they fail, and start to learn from that. So yeah, I am really, looking forward to this title. Really have high expectations for what this could be. So yeah, that's it for this week's new haul. Again, should you like what you see here, please like and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.